Okay, in this video I'm just going to demonstrate how to sand a panel and how to wet sand using sandpaper just by hand. Now this car, I'm just showing you here, I'm not going to sand this car, but just kind of go through the steps with you. First of all, I want to talk about how to fold a piece of sandpaper. It usually comes in just a regular like notebook size 9x11 sheet, and what you want to do, and this is 400 grit wet or dry, it's black, and what you want to do is you just want to fold it in half this way. Now it's always important to fold it this way and not that way, because if you fold it this way and put a crease in it, you're going to have a little edge that may scratch the panel. So always fold it like this and just fold it in two. Make sure that you make a very sharp edge. Push down with your fingers like that. Now you have two pieces, and now this will rip in two fairly easy. And you can notice how where the fold's at, that's curving up, so that's going to curve away from the panel and won't cause any problems there. Now you're going to take it and you're going to divide it into thirds. So you're going to come up here and again fold it this way. Make good sharp creases so it doesn't start folding on you. Fold it up like that. Real tight. Now you have a good size hand pad, and this provides a good size pad, and you have three sides. You've got this side here, that side, and when that's wore out, you got that side. So you have three different ones. And when you go to sanding a panel, we're not sanding this car, but just to say we were. It's dirty right now. Of course, you'd want to wash it. I've preached that a lot, but have it good and clean and ready. But we're going to break this into small, manageable steps. Instead of thinking, I've got this whole car to sand. Right now, all I'm going to think about is I'm going to break this fender down into, let's say, two sections. So I'm going to paint or concentrate on this body line up. So for right now, that's all I'm doing is just that section. That's all I have to do in order to do this car. And I always go around and I do the edges first and kind of push down in there with your hand a little bit. And I go all the way around the edges extremely well, because if paint's going to peel, it's going to start on the edges. And then I'll come back and I'll do the center areas. And also note, you want to go with good long strokes. If you sit here and get choppy like that, that's going to might show up choppy in your finished product. And also, you don't want to sand, if you wasn't sanding the hood, you want to protect that. You may need to put a piece of masking tape or whatever to prevent, sanding the hood, or razor or whatever. You don't want to sand over any moldings or emblems or anything like that, because it'll look really bad, when the paint job's done and finished. So I'm going to sand this, and all you're doing is sanding it enough to degloss it, to get the gloss off. You don't want any shiny spots. I'm going to sand down here. And now whenever this is complete, it's done. I don't ever have to come back to this because it's done. So now all I'm sanding is from this line down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand around the edges. I'm going to outline it. Of course, I'd have all this removed and the stripe removed. But I'm going to outline it, sand the edges real good so we don't have any paint problems there. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to sand the middle of it. And then if I was doing the whole car, I'd do it the same way, like the hood. I might divide into four sections. I'll do this section, that section, and that way, if I go to lunch or something and come back, I don't have to sit, think about where I was at. I know exactly where I was at, because when I'm done with one area, I never won't have to come back to it. So when I'm done with this, and another thing I will do sometimes, I will have I'll do all the edges with one piece, and it may get a little bit jagged from trying to get in some of these tight areas. I'll have another piece whenever I sand the centers, the bigger areas. So you might have two pieces of sandpaper. And also, talk about wet sanding. When I was sanding, I'd use something like this, a spray bottle or something, and keep it good and wet when you're wet sanding also. Maybe sanding here. When you get that done, you're going to use a red scuff pad if we're painting. If we're clearing, you're going to use a gray. But we're going to say that we're just painting this whole fender. So you're going to come around, and again, you're going to get the edges extra good. And this works well, the scuff pad, to get into some of the hard to get areas. Some of the areas that the paper didn't get good, sandpaper. and you go around it all again with this. And you can use water, you can do this dry, or you can use a cleanser, to give a little bit extra attention to getting any silicones, waxes, and greases off. Once you got the area scuffed, do the same thing, the edges, then come back, do the centers. And one of the reasons you always want to do the edges first, if you get any marks in there, finger marks or whatever with the sandpaper, whenever you come back and sand everything, that'll smooth it all out. So always do the edges first and then the centers. And that pretty well covers how to water sand something. It's very important to just break it down into small manageable parts. That way it doesn't overwhelm you, and it'll make the job go by a lot faster, I guarantee you. So that wraps that up.